Okay, everybody, tonight, for whatever reason, I've been, like, relentlessly hacked, and I think it's, this is Kory Baker, sorry. Anyways, I think it's because I went on Facebook, and I looked up the Blue Angels, and I told them just, like, everything that's going on, and how, locally, the big shot, U.S. Navy military guy, his name was Lyman King at Thunder Valley when he got a job a couple of years after the unwarranted FBI investigation ended. He got a job where I worked at Thunder Valley, and I guess he's been stalking me since 2008. And at the time that he worked at Thunder Valley, I didn't really realize that he was a part of that FBI investigation that actually ended in the, it started in the beginning, like April 6th of 2008, and it ended like at the end of April 2008. But the problem is, they never stopped hacking me and illegally monitoring my life. And so, after I went through just the crazy, unbelievable nightmare of AT&T catching, when I called in one day to AT&T, I called in from my home phone, and prior to that, I knew that my home phone was being illegally manipulated. So when I called in that time, I didn't realize that early in 2008, it was allowed to be manipulated because of the official yet unwarranted FBI investigation. So when I called in, it was like about the end of September 2008, and I had just bought a brand new computer, and I was frustrated because my network is super slow on a brand new computer. So I called in not realizing that they didn't have any control of that, my home landline anymore. They are relentlessly hacking any cell phone I got. I mean, literally, as soon as I turned it on, they were all over it. They didn't even need to touch it, and they were all over it because of his, government connections or whatever they use. But anyways, so when I called in that day, the AT&T gal, she ran a diagnostic on my home network, and she said, "So you're using a two-wire modem?" And I said, "No, I'm using the same SpeedStream modem that I got from you guys initially." And then she was just like, "Oh," and then I started to tell her, I've been hacked since March of 2008, earlier in that year, and I said, "But don't do anything," I said, "because they literally tried to kill me and have me murdered already, and I survived that. All I want is my network to be secure and not to have this going on anymore." And she calmly, was kind of scared because she knew I was telling the truth just by what she was seeing on the diagnostic report. And she said, "Don't worry, we're going to take care of this, don't worry." But what she failed to do, when she could see that, I guess they investigated, and they could see that these guys hooked up an illegal second internet connection via my DirecTV satellite. It was for satellite, but they hooked up. They illegally and unauthorized by me added another service to that account, the DirecTV account, and the account number was 9399993, and they set up a separate cable cable internet service on that account, and that's how they were illegally monitoring me, because I was signing into the AT&T DSL, which I already was paying for, and they were monitoring me by having a separate cable internet connection to my computer, and so anyways, the problem is they turned it over to DirecTV, not knowing that just put my life in a whirlwind, you know, spin, because they didn't realize that the guys hacking me were the same people that they turned over the case to for further investigation. And they literally tried to eliminate me for like 6 months straight. I had to, you know, pay someone $20 a week to come to take my kids, pick them up from home and take them to school and take them home, because on November 15th of 2008, I was driving and I could feel the heat was on. Thank God my daughter changed her mind and decided to come, not to stay at her dad's when I dropped her brothers off there. And anyways, she sat in the seat directly behind me, and another neighbor, girl named Tiara, she sat beside me, and in the passenger side across from the driver's seat. And I literally saw this car acting so weird, kept rolling its window down, and it looked like these shady characters. And so I noticed it, so I turned my camera video on it, and I try to zoom in the passenger side mirror to zoom in on their faces. And when my car is always bugged, and so I let them know that I knew those guys were, and I was filming them. So all of a sudden that car backed down and backed off. But when I got home, I looked at the video, and I literally, there was like a magnum gun waving in and out of the window, and you could clearly see it. And so from that point on, I was just like, I can't leave my house because I'm like a sitting duck. I wanted to live for my kids, you know. So for 6 months straight, I lived like a prisoner in my house while they relentlessly sent attempt after attempt after attempt to try to eliminate me. They just tried everything in the book. They did everything you could possibly think of. They had this crackhead mom of a classmate of my son's pretend like that she was just this respectable, lady that, inviting him to church and whatnot. And then one night, after, buttering my son up and acting like they really cared or whatever, they literally tried to poison my son. My son called me from their house. I've never heard him that sick before. He sounded so horrible, and I said, Jake, you need to come home, and he said no, and they were like, kept saying, well, their mom bought all this food for him and blah blah blah. So I hung up the phone because he still said he wanted to spend the night, and I got this bad gut feeling, and like something told me, it's kind of like something like, I don't hear voices or anything, but it was like from God. It was in this message in my gut that said, if you do not get your son home tonight, you will not have a son tomorrow. And I immediately called my neighbor Rick, and I said, Rick, I need you to go pick up my son. He's at the apartments, like, not very far off. And I called that house. Their name was, the classmate's name was Will Huneke or something. It was Huneke. And I think the mom answered the phone, and I said, I need to speak to my son. I didn't even talk to her. And I said, Jake, you're coming home. You have baseball tomorrow. There's no sense in you staying there if you don't feel good. And thank God he agreed easily. And when he got home, he was so sick, and he told me that they put something in his drink that was like a black pill. And I said, well, what was it? And he said that the friend said it was called Fun for Kids. And I said, well, what did it do? Did it make your drink turn a different color? He said no. And I said, well, did it make your drink fizzy? And he said no. And I said, well, what was so fun about it? And he just put his head down on the table because he realized that I was just like, why would you drink something like, when he knows everything that was going on at the time? And they said that the kid said that he got it from his mom got it from Walmart. So I called Walmart and I talked to the manager at the time, and I said, what is this fun for kids? It made my son deathly ill. And he said, well, I know what that is, but we don't carry it here. And I was just like, my heart just sunk, because like I said, I couldn't leave the house, and I couldn't take him to the hospital to get the proof that, not that it mattered because of the crooked local law enforcement. But thank God I got that feeling in my gut. And it was just tons of things like that. Anyways, this video is getting kind of long, so I'm going to stop it now. Wow, 28 minutes already. That's crazy. I could go on for days. Alright, okay, I got to stop this for now, but I'm going to continue. Thank you.